Okay, it is almost 4:30, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes from our last meeting in October?
Yes.
Any changes or corrections?
No.
No. Move to accept?
Except.
Second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Upcoming events. You want to take that, Abby? Or?
Well, we just had our November 11th event of the Underground Railroad presented by Carol Hunt. It was a great success. We had 19 people. And the crowd seemed very interested in the topic. She was thrilled that many people came and enjoyed her presentation. So I was happy with that also. December, John, do you have any information about the Winterfest?
Okay, so the Winterfest is going to be taking place on December 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. The plan is definitely for the Heritage Center to be open and probably offer, whatever activities we normally would, Toby and Amy want to sing, that would be great. If we want to have some sort of story time or otherwise,
What
Obviously,
day
we
of the
also
week
should
is
probably
that?
say what?
What day of the week is that?
That's a Saturday,
A Saturday.
4 to 7.
Okay.
Obviously, the Heritage Center will have its own decorations up, but some of the other things we're planning on is having basically the town will be buying several trees, and then basically different groups or businesses would basically sponsor tree and decorate, have a little display going on. There's a plan for like a mini train ride, some food, etc., things like that.
And where would that primarily be held?
We're still trying to sketch out where it's going to be, because again, I don't like when we have these events and the Heritage Center is open, it's kind of isolated up there. So there has been some discussion about trying to be a multi-level, maybe have some stuff up there and some stuff down here, but that's not really determined yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be nice if there was some activity in the parking lot, like down towards the soccer field, so
I mean,
that
there's
we
talk
could
of having a
participate
bonfire,
too. I'm sorry?
There was talk of having a bonfire too. I don't know the location, maybe probably out in the field. So.
Okay. And I know that you emailed me this, but what day do we need to have our decorations at the Heritage Center?
Saturday, November 27th, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we'll be setting up for Christmas at 10 a.m. And I planned on sending out an email reminder to folks by the end of this week, just saying if you had additional things to bring them in. If you'd like to come and volunteer, I think only like maybe 3 or 4 of us were planning on being there. I don't know how much we'll have to do, but the more hands we have, the quicker it goes. So if you're available, you're more than welcome to come.
Okay. I don't know if I'm available, but I do have some stuff I'll be dropping off.
Okay.
Now, did you find the big Santa downstairs?
There's a big Santa downstairs.
I think we should do photos with Santa.
That'd be fun.
Wouldn't that be funny
Yeah.
to have like your little girl
Yeah.
next to
Yeah.
that big?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it because it's COVID free.
Someone said that they knew someone who had a handmade Santa costume, and we thought about putting it on a mannequin and like we'd have to use some pillows, I would imagine, to plump them up a little bit.
I have a Santa costume at the library,
Oh, yeah?
which I keep trying to get rid of.
Wow. I
But
know a place.
but I really like. Go on.
I believe Jerry Offman may have one.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Pretty fun.
Okay.
But okay, but I still think it'd be funny to get pictures of kids with the vintage Santa.
Yeah. Maybe that could be a Winterfest activity.
Exactly. Well, let me know if Jerry needs his suit during the holidays, because
Okay.
he might be appearing somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so now you put together a rough schedule for next year, correct?
Yes. Did we want to get into that now?
I think we should, because I don't think we'll be meeting in December.
Okay. I sent out a proposed display event plan for 2022. Did everyone
I saw
take a
it.
look?
Mhm.
You have it there.
Yeah.
So my proposal would be to have larger displays, sometimes asking the public to loan or donate items. So that way it brings more people into the Heritage Center on a daily basis, not just for special events.
Yeah, it worked really well when we did the wedding dresses because
Yeah.
people want to come in and see
Absolutely.
stuff.
So I was recently gifted with some vintage ladies hats, and some of the other volunteers at the Heritage Center also have vintage hats. and
Could we
have
do
hats
purses too?
Yeah, we were gonna do like gloves and.
Because I
purses
have
and
all that stuff.
accessories.
Like that was my grandmother's.
Yes.
They all have E's on it for English and,
Oh,
oh
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we were planning to just use the volunteers as a base for loans and donations for that first show
Mhm,
in March, but that would be like our reopening.
mhm.
And do vintage hats, purses, and accessories. We do have enough items to make a really nice show, but we would need some display supplies, like a hat tree and a couple female mannequins, because the only mannequins that we have are male.
We put wedding dresses on them,
On the men mannequins,
didn't we, Amy?
they're big men. I mean,
Yeah, we ended up hanging a lot on those silver frames because that was an issue with some of them. We borrowed a couple. We borrowed a couple of mannequins for the wedding
okay,
gown display. The other thing I had checked later while the quilt display was already up, but we could reach out to some of our local antique stores to either borrow items they might have. Maybe they might have a mannequin or two that they could lend for that time, but we'd have to be sure to give them, specific dates.
sure. Okay,
Yeah, I have tons of hat boxes, but they're not all vintage.
okay,
So, and I think I have I guess it's not a hat rack, but it's a coat rack and it has like, a bunch of different
Mhm.
things.
Okay, well, we can certainly get creative if need be, but it would be nice to have, our own ladies. Because we do have 2 female forms right now. But if we're gonna do something big like this, which leads me into the vintage clothing show that we want to do in the summer, we're gonna need some more mannequins for that also. So that would run through May. And then I don't know if there's interest in doing a 5-year anniversary party for the Heritage Center. It will be 5 years that we've been open, because we opened in 2017. I thought perhaps we could do a McCandless painting unveiling in conjunction with Town Hall. Invite people to come. Maybe we get that one brought over to the Heritage Center and just like a showcase, and then it can be installed here at a later date. But they're really cool, and I think people should see them. And then Joe Bullock also passed away in May of 2019, so that would be, kind of a connection there as well. Does anybody see a reason why we shouldn't do something like that?
No, I think we should.
Okay.
I mean, we did a first anniversary party and I think we did a second, but then we thought we just cannot keep
Yeah.
this up every year.
Yeah,
We'll wait for the 5th.
okay, all
That
right,
was
great.
good, yeah.
Okay,
And then in June, we talked about doing a vintage clothing and sewing machine exhibition because, those old sewing machines are so ornate and different, and nobody really has a sewing machine at home anymore. So
I have two.
Have to-
I thought that would be something that we could ask the public for donations or loans to draw in visitors then.
Mhm.
And then we would also especially need men's clothing. We have a lot of vintage ladies clothing downstairs. I mean, men's clothing isn't that exciting because it was just like suits. But, if you can think of any exciting men's attire.
okay, well, maybe we could get some like old, I don't know, golf clothing,
Specialty stuff.
I'll have the hat, the short pants that
Yeah.
they used to wear, maybe we can find that somewhere. I'll maybe take a look, see
Okay.
what's available, or something like that. That would be
I'm sorry, what error are we talking? We're looking
We
at,
didn't really,
or is it?
we
just-
didn't really
vague?
like narrow it down.
Okay.
But a lot of the clothes that we have are, I'd say, are from like the 60s, 50s,
Okay.
50s, 60s. But it's not, it doesn't
Oh.
have to be from that.
Oh, we're talking about the
period.
50s and 60s. Boy, you can get a lot of funny stuff for men.
Really?
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
How about zoot, you could find some zoot suits. or
Ooh.
something.
Yeah, stuff like that. Also,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
goodness.
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
can
check
have
with,
skinny ties, you can have fat ties.
we need to get a leisure suit,
Yeah.
maybe powder
Yes.
blue
That
Yes,
too.
yes.
with a white patent
Yeah.
leather belt. My
Yes.
father owned that. Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Yeah. You
For
know.
the golf clothes that you were talking about, I would like to put up a golf display. I know Joe Wall had discussed
Hmm.
doing a golf outing. I wasn't sure when he wanted to do that, though.
Well, I think we talked, what he was talking about would have to be in the springtime.
In the spring?
Yeah, when it's a little bit warmer
Okay,
and maybe hopefully dry, but you know, that could be done in April, May, something like that.
okay.
I think golf's a great connection. I mean,
Yeah.
so I was reading just in the Heritage Center where there's something about Phone's family and the founding of Oakmont rather,
Yeah, that was Oakmont.
and yeah, and then connected to North Park, and yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Golf would be a good idea.
and we have some vintage golf stuff downstairs, some golf clubs, and Joe was the golf coach at NA.
That's a great connection.
So
Yeah.
we have lots of pictures of that also, so.
And you know, what I would like to do with the fifth 5-year anniversary, you know, I had this idea. I had the interview with Steve,
Mhm.
and it really, if you saw it, it's a very good interview. He did a great job telling the story. He's a great narrator. And sometimes when I'm in there on Sundays, I'll put that up, and you know, just on the television, and you know, a few people that have walked in, they haven't actually sat down and looked at it, but you know, it is something that we could put up there and kind of. I'd love to take that corner and make it sort of Joe's corner, and talk about, you know, and put a bunch of stuff up there about Joe and the museum, and run that interview, you know, off of that.
I love that idea.
That'd be a great thing to do for the
Yeah.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of Joe's stuff sort of scattered here and there. It
Yeah.
would be nice to consolidate it all in one.
Be like a little tribute to him.
Yeah, and also tell the story of the museum, and
Yeah.
and I think it's good in that corner. It brings people in. Right now, we've got some stuff about Joe. It's kind of on the
Mhm.
on the wall, and people go past it. You know,
Mhm.
so that's just one idea.
Okay. And Joe Wall had also proposed doing a softball tournament on Father's Day weekend.
Huh.
I don't know any more details without his input at this time.
Sounds
But
like
that would
fun.
be in June. So the vintage clothing sewing machines exhibition would run June, July, and August. And then in September, we would sort of make it more North Allegheny focused for any reunions that might come or homecoming. And then Community Day for September also. October, hopefully the notorious North Hills can happen again.
Mhm.
November, we would continue the NA display and then start setting up for Christmas, and then December would be Christmas. And then if Winterfest happens again, that would take us to 2023, so.
I think that's a good slate of displays.
Yes.
I think the next thing we should focus on are programs,
Mhm.
to try to get some programs scheduled in.
Can I raise a question?
Yes.
Because we're talking about clothing again, at least for the June, July, and August. When we had the wedding gowns on display, that pretty much filled the space to the point where it prevented programs from happening in the center.
Oh, okay.
we did a couple and we were shoving things out of the way and we didn't quite have as much room as we wanted. So that was something that we had always talked about trying to coordinate, unless we're going to sponsor programs and have them there at the town hall instead of having them in the center, which, you know, that kind of cancels out having the programs to get people into the center. So just something to think about as we're planning the displays, especially with the mannequins.
Okay.
How we want to do that, if we want it to be in a way that we can still have programs, or, you know, I think the purses and hats, we can certainly still have program space during that time frame.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying we can't, I'm just thinking we need to plan accordingly.
Okay,
Okay,
I hadn't considered that, so
Yeah.
thank you.
that's a good point.
As far as programs are concerned, is there any successes that we had this year that we'd like to bring back next year, or do we want to like take a break on people for a year, or what?
You mean certain presenters,
Yeah,
like Jim Howard?
yeah,
Because I don't know.
because he had mentioned that he was possibly working on a football presentation, which would be great for the fall.
Mhm.
And people did really like Carol's presentation on the Underground Railroad.
Does she do any other ones?
I don't know.
I think she does one. Apparently there's a great fire in Chicago. Apparently there was one in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
She does
okay.
apparently she does a presentation on that. as
Yeah.
well.
well, there, that would be good.
Well, you know, I'm gonna, it's a tough thing to ask, because she's a lovely woman, and it was a pleasant presentation, but how much are we concerned with actually historical, accuracy?
Accuracy?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of legend in there,
Yeah,
you know, and, you know, particularly the one about the Jocko, you know, that's an old legend that's been kind of debunked for a long time. And so I just wonder how much are we concerned about? I'm a history guy, so
Yeah,
of course I cringed a bit. She's a lovely person, and it was a lovely little, but I knew there was a lot of stuff in there that was.
and does she,
She
presented?
did, no, I'm sorry, she did present, she did say that some of this was, questionable, but I'm just wondering how much do we want to be sort of in, to be aware of integrity?
yeah,
Mhm.
We've done stuff in the past, like with Tom White. He does his whole folklore thing, that's sort of like spook kind of stories.
Yeah.
You know, those are all sort of speculation and just mostly fun. So
Yeah.
there's definitely precedent for doing something like that.
Well, I think it all depends on how it's presented, because
Yeah.
Tom will tell you that it's folklore. He'll tell you it's an urban legend and-
Sure.
and things
And
like
there's,
that.
room for that.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but you don't want, I mean, it depends, I wasn't there, so it would depend on how she presented it, because you don't want some kid going into school and saying, oh yeah, I heard all about
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And
Exactly. I had one of my students come, I was so happy she came out to go to see it. So, yeah, and she enjoyed it. She loved it. Yeah, that was one concern I walked away with.
Yeah.
You know.
no, thank you for,
Well, it's urban legend. It can be fact or fiction. I mean, you just have to, maybe whenever you introduce somebody, just say, or make sure that everyone knows that there's some history in here. We're also going to tell you the stories that have been said about it. I mean,
Yeah.
you could do that with a disclaimer before it starts
Yeah.
and try to cover yourself.
I mean, we really don't have like a vetting process as far
No.
as
Yeah.
like, if you said you wanted to present on Timbuktu, I'd be like, okay, great. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one person that we should get.
Yeah.
And we live right around North Park. I've lived around North Park. I've been the one that have seen it drain twice now. But there's a guy, he's one of the rangers, and he gives a history of North Park.
Okay.
And I thought that this was going to be the most boring thing I ever saw in my life, until he comes in and he says, all right, let's talk about what dinosaurs walked around North Park in 300 million years ago,
Mhm.
and it started that way. And everything that he talked about, the old, and he did tell us about the Indians that were here and how the Indians got ticked off because they were using them as show people and they thought they were coming here to herd buffalo.
Oh, yeah, the big beaver, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff. And all the people who built the North Park and how it got built and everything, it was very interesting. Somebody like that would be,
Yeah.
I've seen him and I've
Yeah.
heard him. He's about 5'2",
Great.
and he is so interesting. It's
Oh, that
amazing.
sounds great.
Dick gave me his contact information, actually.
You
So,
have it?
yeah, so I can
Okay.
reach out to him.
Yeah, that- we heard
I didn't know
about
about
it.
history of North Park. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Such a great.
And it's right here, and you learn stuff that you never knew before.
Okay.
Did you know that Chief Big Beaver went on to be in movies?
No,
Now
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
Yeah, he went on to be, in movies after he left here. Yeah.
okay, hi, Joe. Okay, you're muted.
Hi, everybody.
There you
Hi,
go.
I
Joe.
didn't think there was
Okay.
any way of mute.
I know, I'm like, wow, that's
He can
amazing.
only mute himself.
So, yeah, Joe, we were just going over our schedule for next year, and we touched on your golf tournament and your baseball tournament. Do you have anything you want to add, or,
The golf tournament, we're gonna try and do towards the end of April.
okay?
And then the softball tournament, I'm working with Jeff Fry. He's a Franklin Park resident, but we're probably looking at somewhere around Father's Day for the softball tournament.
Okay, great.
And to let everybody know too, that we have started scheduling the history of NA football with the different groups. We're going to start it in January.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I know that in the past, one of the more successful programs we had was about the history of the Nike sites,
Okay.
but I don't know who did that presentation.
I didn't see it.
Amy, do you remember who that was, or John?
John Eld has done that program, hasn't he?
Mm,
I would
But
have-
he wouldn't be available right now.
No, he wouldn't.
I think there was somebody else though too.
Yeah, some,
I think that the Nike site's going to wind up as a bus garage at some point in time. By Ozark.
okay. Well, maybe that's something that we can all work on individually, is to try to come up with some more contacts. I mean, Amy, you had the contact for the Civilian Conservation
Right.
Corps. You might want to
Yeah.
touch base with him again.
Okay, I know. Yeah, I'll have to check. I know he was having some health issues.
Okay.
So I actually saw him in the hospital when my husband was in the hospital. So I know he just recently had some more things going on. So
Okay. All right. But if we all can come up with a couple of leads, we should be able to get a full slate for next year.
Is the
do
goal
we
to do-
have any
That's what we
budget?
used.
Okay.
Do we have any budget for speakers?
I don't know how strict that is. I know there is some money in there for holding events, but I don't know.
Because there's, the Heinz History Center, there's some outreach programming that they do through the Detry Library and Archives. I don't think they charge for their programs. The other one that does a great job is from the Trolley Museum. But I think they do ask for, a small stipend to cover, some of their costs of traveling up here and doing that. But they've done a program on, moving the Wexford station down there and all of that. So that would be a great program too. You could get a sponsor to cover the cost.
I was in the Wexford station down there. They allow you to go in it and well, we're on a tour. Yeah.
I know for a couple of Christmases, we made arrangements with the Western Pennsylvania Railroad Museum in Gibsonia.
Yeah,
And they brought out a little display. That would be a great thing to have
Oh,
for Winterfest.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
This year?
Why not? Give it a shot. I don't know if it's too late.
What
but
did you say that were called? The Western PA.
Western Pennsylvania Model Railroad.
Somebody told me though that when they operated that railroad, someone from that organization had to be there,
Yes, they had
The
to
whole
bring
time.
like 2 or 3 people to set it up and everything.
but like they had to be there the whole time it was on display, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Not the whole time. I mean, we did it 2 nights in a row, the 2 times we did it, so they weren't there obviously.
But when it
the
was
display
open,
wasn't happening, but when they
Oh.
actually were,
Okay.
running it and everything, they were there.
Okay,
but if we just did it for Winterfest and maybe like, I don't know, that Sunday or something, if they would allow it, that might be kind of cool.
I think weekends are tough for them though, because their actual, museum is packed
Packed, yeah,
Oh.
during,
True.
Christmas and such.
Yeah.
true.
Always wanted to go.
It's pretty
It's a
cool,
big, it's a big operation.
yeah.
That's right.
Surprised, yeah.
Really need to go.
Could that be another program, just to have members from that group come and talk about the evolution of that display? Because it is pretty amazing.
It is,
Yeah.
could be.
yeah.
Well, their display is really a lot of Pittsburgh, so they really know, they know the history. They might know the history of the northern part of what our railroads have done. So that would be really interesting.
And if anyone knows anyone who speaks about the Harmony shirt line,
Hmm.
that would be huge.
Yeah. I like when we have our harmony stuff out. That's always
Yeah,
good.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the upcoming events? Okay, all right. Proposal for electronic signage, John.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's still in the draft town budget. However, Bob Grimm has been reading the tea leaves, so to speak, and as far as he can tell, there is no support from council for it.
Well, I mean, while I understand that, particularly with this council, what I can tell you is that if it doesn't cost, I mean, somebody needs to sit with council and say, if it doesn't cost you anything, why would you be opposed to it? I don't think that we've gotten to the point of where we understand why they don't want it. I've heard a lot of stuff on the fringe. I've heard a lot of stuff that's nothing but excuses. Somebody tried to tell me we have bigger priorities. We have stormwater issues. Of course you do. But if you're not paying for this, why is this such an issue? We have help in the form of the McCandless Industrial Development Corporation that will definitely help our group get a sign. So, John, I don't know what we need to do. Perhaps it's going to take members of our committee to meet with members of the town council, because I don't think we're getting a straight answer.
I mean, I can't fully speculate, but if it's actually paid for via sponsorship, that shouldn't really be an issue,
And you and I believe the same thing. But, I know that they put it in the budget for a specific reason. Okay, but if it's not coming out of township coffers, that it's coming from the McCandless Industrial Development Corporation, then why is council, why do they care?
I don't know if they have that strong of opinion on it. That's what I'm saying is Bob's take is, he can tell there's probably not a strong interest in it, but I don't think anyone's, minus maybe 1 or 2 cases, has said, no, I don't want to spend money on this.
And there again, I mean, I brought it up to Carolyn Schwager, and I brought it up to Mrs. Zachary. We have other issues going on in the township or in the town. Well, of course you do. Okay, but it seems to me if they're not paying for it, and it's providing a service not just for the Heritage Center, but for the township as a whole, it's awfully short-sighted not to go along with it.
How do we force them into telling us exactly, you know, what they're feeling?
Do they understand this would be at no, are we saying this is at no cost to the town, that we are going to bring in the full
Well,
revenues needed?
I mean, I don't think anybody's had that conversation yet, because I believe that Bob has this as part of the budget first. But I think what we need to do is, whether it's a committee or it's one person, they need to address who has an issue with this on council, and explain the whys and wherefores, and understand exactly where council is coming from.
The last time we presented this, I know there was some objection just to the concept of an electronic sign.
And you know what?
I'm just sharing what some
Yeah.
of what shot it down the last time.
You know what? Hampton has 2 of them. Pine has 2 of them. Cranberry has like 4 of them. Okay. Franklin Park and Marshalls actually stare at one another at 9:10. So I don't understand why we, I mean, are we
And there
not
may
that?
be different members of council now. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, are we in a situation where we are actually backwards compared to the other communities around us? I don't think so.
Well, you know, there's, I still think, since I've been here, I've lived here for 21 years, and the thing that I've always heard about signs was that people don't like the aesthetic of the sign, and so I don't know if that's part of it. And actually, it's suggested that it is part of it. They don't want an electric sign because it kind of mars the beauty of North Park and all that.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, the county's thinking about putting a sign out in front of North Park, right there at the cannon. So, yeah, I guess, and North Allegheny's got a sign as big as you can see up on 19. And then you have the Coldwell Banker sign. So if people are having trouble with aesthetics, I mean, it's a little late to be throwing that around now.
Look across the street from the Heritage Center at the neon signs at the baseball cages and
Yeah.
So that the aesthetic.
I guess we'd have to kind of just get them to tell us what the.
Yeah, I mean, look, the aesthetic argument goes out the window, because you have the ability to build something that matches the aesthetics of the center around the electronic sign. So that's an argument that I'm sorry, you know, maybe I'm a little bit different than most people, but you're going to have to do better than just saying because we don't feel like it.
Well, John, what is the process if it gets removed from the budget? That doesn't necessarily mean we can't move forward if we come up with the funding, correct?
I don't believe so, no. I mean,
okay. So this is our first effort, is to keep it in the budget.
But understand something, Amy. The town council owns us, and they own the center. Okay, so therein lies the rub.
Yeah,
there has to be a political reason why this has been stymied, not wanting information to be translated to our constituency, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah, I know, Diane, I'm too outspoken, but that's just...
No, Joe,
no, it's
right now.
Yeah.
you're preaching to the choir here. I mean, we've been down this road before, and we see the value in it, and we're just as stymied as you are by the reactions.
Yeah, and what's so crazy about it to me is that it's not just a value to the Heritage Center, but the township as a whole.
Yep.
I mean, I can't tell you when the zoning board meets. Yeah, unless I look at my handy dandy, town of McCandless calendar. Okay. I mean, thank God John Boyarsky and Diane send out reminders that we have meetings on, day. Otherwise I wouldn't have. How can you? Oh, yeah, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. We're probably the only, we used to be called McCandless Township. Now we're the town of McCandless because we're a step above and everybody else communicates better than we do. I don't get it.
And to have the Heritage Center there and to not have something to alert people that it's there, because when people go there, when people do find it and step inside, they love it. Everybody that's come into the place. So I didn't know this was here, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, to your point, I worked there, I guess about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I took somebody Saturday, and somebody rolls in with their 2 kids, and they're new to the school district. And, they saw the open sign, but they didn't realize what it was. They came in and they looked at it, it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, people love it. Yeah.
You know what? I think, without beating this dead horse to death again, I think we're all on the same page. I feel bad that something this small is becoming politicized. And I believe it's being politicized.
Do we have an opportunity to go before council before it gets killed formally? I mean, to appeal to them?
I mean, if you want to get really technical, there is a public hearing at the meeting Monday night specifically on the budget.
Okay.
And if folks want to speak, folks can speak.
All right. Might be a good thing to do.
I am hereby volunteering my services.
Oh, good. I was hoping you would. Okay, so Monday meeting of town council.
Okay.
We should all show up in force.
And have they seen the proposed drawings that Kevin
I can't say for sure. I'm guessing probably not at this point.
really?
It's probably
Okay.
just a line item to them.
Okay.
That what time is it? Is it
7:30.
7:30?
And again, in person and on Zoom. There is kind of obviously capacity limitation still in here, so
Yeah. Do they usually have a crowd or?
depends on the issue.
Yeah.
So John, just out of curiosity, what if more people show up in person than there is capacity for? And they want to speak?
I don't think we've actually broached that since we've had the capacity limitation.
But the capacity is only 23, right?
Capacity is only 23 at this point.
Yeah, that's not
There
gonna
was a
take
meeting
long.
before that took place where it was full, but I assume people are directed to head home and log on.
And
That's my-
but everybody needs to understand this is a budget meeting, and people get a little crazy over budgets, especially now. So, I mean, I'm willing to either be there in person or do it via Zoom. Do what you guys want me to do.
Stand next to you.
There you go.
Yeah. I think in person is more effective
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it,
Yeah,
might be,
you don't always, I had a board member who tried to speak on behalf of the library several weeks ago, a couple meetings ago, about the library budget, and she was online and she never got that opportunity. I don't think it was, I hope it wasn't, I don't think it was intentional, but it, they were ready to move on and she didn't get her opportunity, so.
It's more difficult to do that to you if you're standing right here.
And you know what? I think that most of you would agree. I'm kind of hard to ignore when I get going.
that's part of your charm, Joe.
I say we count on it, Joe.
It's a blessing and a curse. Let's just call it that.
Isn't there one commissioner that would sort of be dedicated to the museum?
Dave Smith.
There is the liaison, yes.
Yeah.
Who is that? Is that Mike Tarl?
No, it's David.
No.
Mike Carl's the alternate though, technically.
You know what? I was just on a call with David Smith today. I'm sure that
This
we
meeting
would,
is being recorded. Just throwing that
Yeah,
out there.
I'm well aware.
Well,
I just was on a phone call with David Smith.
the point I was making, maybe it's better if we met with him first. And have him maybe take it back to, or at least explain what we want to do and have him take it to the rest of council. Just throwing out them, from.
See, while I understand you saying that, I disagree simply because the more levels that you get from our committee back to council, the different, like, we're more passionate than David Smith is going to be. Okay. You want to have a champion that's actually taking your cause to council. Okay. And with all due respect to David, he's a great guy and I have tremendous respect for him. He may not necessarily, especially since we're going to sit there and try and explain how we feel to him. In order to convey that to council, I'd rather do it myself.
Okay,
Okay.
well, so that's decided. Okay, the next thing up is the annual appeal. I sent it out to people. It's the basic one that we did several years ago. I just changed out some of the photos. I rewrote this and I have.
Diane, it looked great. It looked fantastic. You know what? I didn't think that we should take the picture of Joe Bullock off there, but it works the way that you did it.
Yeah.
Thanks, because I tried.
Refers to Joe.
Okay, so we have to decide if we're going to go with this. We have to move pretty quickly.
So
It's already halfway through.
Diane, on the, I don't know which page, the one that has the front page and then the address part on the very back, the what people are doing, is that where you were going to add some of the statistics, the volunteer stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If anyone has any better testimonials, I like the one about Joe. I love the one from Phil from the NA. The other one is just a reporter that I helped get some information.
Right.
I was just trying to get different, aspects of the people that we help. But if anyone has something better, let me know. But if we're going to do this, we have to decide. We have the mailing list. Do we go with the entire mailing list? Do we pare it down? What do people think?
I think you go with the whole list,
The whole shoot and
the
match.
whole shebang.
Can see why not, yeah.
Is that an extra copy?
Yeah, I brought copies if anyone wants to see it.
I just went out there.
Hey, Diane, I know that we went over this last time, but what is the cost of sending those out?
Okay, so in 2018, the cost for printing 700 and bulk mailing included was about $625. Now, obviously, this year we do have that dirty phrase, supply chain issues, which is, affecting paper as well. So the cost is probably a little bit higher, but still, the rate of return was like double that at least. So it was worthwhile.
Okay.
And it's cheap enough that it can be done, without too much question.
Okay,
No,
the other thing that I'd like to mention, from a marketing aspect, this is fantastic and it's great because it appeals to one segment of our population that would probably that would affect attendance at our facility a great deal. But when you double this with almost like an online marketing campaign that would go along with it, and I think Carolyn Keller can probably help us along those lines, where you do that, you'll have to forgive me. I'm in my home office and my dogs are going crazy.
All right.
But if you do the marketing campaign, if you do the online marketing campaign in conjunction with this, and actually focus your online on this particular campaign, I think you got a winner, and you're talking probably about doubling anything that you've done in the past.
Yeah, I got a message from Carolyn today saying that she wasn't going to be able to make this meeting, but she would like to meet with me and Abby and Kevin to see what we could put together to do online.
And that would also be for the end of year report
Right.
to council as well. Would it be beneficial to put something on here about like our proposed events for 2022? Like come see us in March?
Yeah, that's an idea.
That is a good idea.
I mean, we
Okay.
could probably squeeze that into the what people are doing.
Instead of putting the stats, we could say, or I could make what people are saying, I could make it smaller.
Yeah, I think the stats are really stunning when you see them in print, like the hundreds and hundreds of hours that we volunteer here and the people. So I think that that's worth putting on there, but I think it'd be great to put something about, you know.
Okay, I can do
come
that.
See us.
And the other thing I changed is originally we were asking for a donation of $45. I can't remember why we chose that, but I dropped it down to 25 because I thought that might be more appealing. Any thoughts?
How does that translate to the Heinz History Center?
It
tickets,
doesn't
though?
really.
Well, how do you get them?
Oh, you just request it because we're a member of the Heinz. We're,
Oh,
Yeah, we have a card that you can hand out and, you know, you show it and get in.
oh, okay.
We share that one card. It's not like everybody who donates gets 4 passes. You have to contact John to borrow the card.
Gotcha.
but we didn't run into any trouble.
In all
With it.
honesty, everyone who donated, I don't think anyone actually requested to go to the Heinz History Center, so I doubt that would be different this time.
I think the other thing that we ought to look at, Diane, is we got to look at a corporate aspect of this.
Mhm.
Corporate aspect should start at $100.
Isn't Carolyn working on that?
You know what? I seem to remember that she is doing something with that from the last meeting.
I think she is working on that. Okay, so I will make the changes and then.
Yeah,
so-
I think this time of year, it's easy for companies, big and small, to be able to write a check for $100 or higher.
Yeah,
You know, and when you get into April, May, June, it's not as easy.
No,
It's
this is-
easier at the beginning of the year.
so do we need to vote that we are gonna do this? Okay,
I make
So-
a motion to support the marketing program.
Second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, passes.
Okay.
All right, so I will make those changes, send it out to everyone to give it a look-see and then send it to John.
Great.
Okay, yay.
All right.
Okay, so the 2021 end of year report, that was something that Kevin did, and he said that he can do it again just by feeding in the new numbers.
Mhm.
So all that's gonna take from us are those of us that have done volunteer time outside of what's recorded at the Heritage Center. You need to send in your hours.
And you can send them to me because I'll keep that master calendar
Okay,
updated.
okay,
So you
all right,
want everybody's hours?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Any hours you haven't recorded on the clipboard in the office. So like when you made your football presentation, the hours that it took you to make that, anything outside the walls of the Heritage Center, just an
Okay.
estimate.
and
Okay.
does John, or I don't know, is it John or you that calculates the hours spent in these meetings?
I did it last year. I
John did
again.
it, okay,
I have that on the spreadsheet too, John.
Okay.
Yeah, because I looked at the minutes and went back and said like, this meeting was an hour, this meeting was an hour and a half. So
okay, great.
I was on a roll that day.
You were, it was a big day.
It was a big day.
Mr. Boyarsky,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call you because I want to make sure that if there's any special protocols that I need to adhere to Monday night with this board of township commissioners.
Okay, so do we have any other topics that people would like to bring up?
I'm wondering if anybody knows a local acting troupe.
To do what?
Well, I was speaking with my guy who does the drama in our school. And I was talking about, when I was talking about maybe taking some of those testimonials off the page and speaking them, having them. I was talking to him about that, and then he kind of I was suggesting some of our students doing it. He said, well, why don't you might want to use like an older group of actors, that are in the area that are really trained actors. And then we started talking about when he talked about acting troupes, and I thought, oh, what would be really cool is if we could maybe work with an acting troupe to put together a little mini play of something of McCandless history. Maybe we could start with Joe's story, and we could do like a small,
Reenactment.
like a
Yes.
small 10-minute play
That
or
would be
something
so
like that.
cool.
Yeah, and that-
There is a group called the North Star Players.
Okay.
They have been, they are still out there in some way, shape, or form. They're kind of an offshoot of the Pittsburgh Playhouse. And they are one of many suburban acting troupes. There's one out in Cranberry.
Comptra Theater.
Yes.
what are they called?
Comptra, COMPTRA, I think.
Then there's one in Zelienople at the Strand.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
really?
then there's one in Hampton. I forget what, the Little Red Playhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, you've got all this information. Unbelievable.
I am the master of useless information.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I'll look those folks up and maybe try to get some interest in that,
Maybe we could do a reenactment of Ingmar the Barbarian.
Ingmar the Barbarian.
Well, that's what the town of Ingmar is named
Oh, I
after.
did not
A
realize.
play
that.
called Ingmar the Barbarian, which stop laughing. Someday I'm gonna get my hands on that screenplay, that play.
You know what,
Sure.
Diane, I think you're absolutely wrong, but that's okay. I
I'm
want you to get your hands on the play too.
I'm not wrong. That's why it's named that.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Wow. Why would they?
I have no idea.
Ingmar the Barbarian. That I've heard of Conan the Barbarian, but Ingmar the Barbarian. I'm telling you what, we can. Let me tell you, so we can get Corky Semler to play Ingmar the Barbarian.
Come on, fellow librarian, back me up. Am I correct on this?
There is a silent film. It's
How
13
to-
minutes long. We could just have a screening.
Can we get it? That would be
No.
great. Wouldn't that be great to show?
D.W. Griffith. That's like
That-
classic stuff.
That's one of the early.
Has to be public domain, but no.
Oh, yeah.
I could be the
D.W.
heroine.
Griffith, really?
Folks, I have to leave. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
See you on Monday. Okay. All right. Do we have any public comment, Amy, since you now represent the public?
No, I just found something online with Mark Twain's review of the play, and there's some stuff quoting from Act 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know. I'm sure you can find it if you really are that determined.
Okay,
I have no other comments.
okay.
You might want to let Joe know, John, when you talk to him about the 5-minute time limit to speak on Monday,
Yeah, I plan on
so
doing that.
he's aware.
Speaking with public comment or during the public hearing, it's still gonna be 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, in that case, then I think I call for adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. So John, I will be in touch with this